Most people spend their lives believing they are waiting for the perfect opportunity, the perfect connection, or the perfect moment before they finally become who they were meant to be. But the truth is far more powerful than that. The winner inside you is not waiting for permission from the world. It is waiting for orders from you. There is already strength within you that has survived disappointment, pressure, rejection, fear, and uncertainty. The problem is not that you are weak. The problem is that too many people have stopped giving their inner strength a mission worth fighting for. Every morning your mind is listening for commands. The way you speak to yourself becomes the direction your life follows. When you constantly repeat fear, hesitation, and doubt, your potential remains asleep. But when you begin to speak with purpose, your energy changes, your focus sharpens, your actions become intentional. The winner inside you starts responding because leadership has finally appeared within your own thinking. There are people with incredible talent who never rise because they never decide to lead themselves. And there are ordinary individuals who change their entire future because they finally decide that enough is enough. They stop negotiating with excuses. They stop waiting for confidence before taking action. They understand that courage is not something you feel before movement. Courage is created because of movement. Every step forward teaches your mind that growth is possible. Your future is being shaped by the orders you give yourself every day. When you tell yourself to quit, your energy obeys. When you tell yourself that your past defines you, your vision becomes smaller. But when you decide that your setbacks are training instead of punishment, everything begins to change. The winner inside you starts preparing for something greater because your mindset has stopped surrendering to temporary pain. The strongest people are not always the loudest people. They are the ones who continue moving even when nobody notices their effort. They understand that discipline is a private conversation between who you are now and who you are becoming. The world only celebrates the victory after years of unseen commitment. Long before success becomes visible, the winner inside has already been trained through consistency, sacrifice, and self-respect. Too many people underestimate the power of direction. Energy without direction becomes frustration. Talent without direction becomes wasted potential. Ambition without direction becomes endless distraction. But when your life gains purpose, your actions gain force. Suddenly your habits begin supporting your future instead of destroying it. Your focus becomes stronger than your excuses. Your standards become stronger than your emotions. There is a version of you that already knows what must be done. A version of you that is tired of shrinking, tired of doubting, tired of living beneath your capability. That version is waiting for leadership. It is waiting for you to stop speaking like a victim of circumstances and start acting like the architect of your future. The moment you take responsibility for your growth, your power begins to rise. You do not become a winner when life becomes easy. You become a winner when your decisions become stronger than your comfort. Pressure does not destroy great people. Pressure reveals them. Challenges do not arrive to stop your progress. They arrive to expose the strength you have not yet used. Every difficult season carries an invitation to become someone wiser, stronger, and more focused than before. The winner inside you has always been there. Silent during your excuses, patient during your fear, waiting during your distractions. But now it is listening closely for direction. The moment you decide to move with purpose, speak with belief, and act with discipline, the strength within you stops sleeping and starts leading your life forward. Every powerful life begins the moment excuses lose control. The moment a person stops explaining why they cannot grow and starts deciding why they must grow, everything changes. Most people are not defeated by lack of talent. They are defeated by the stories they repeat to themselves every single day. Stories about why the timing is wrong, why the conditions are unfair, why the dream is too far away, or why somebody else had advantages they never received. Excuses sound harmless in the beginning, but over time they slowly become permission to stay average. Excuses are dangerous because they feel comfortable. They protect people from responsibility. They create temporary relief from pressure. The moment something becomes difficult, the mind searches for reasons to escape discomfort instead of confronting it. But growth has never belonged to those who constantly search for escape. Growth belongs to people who decide that discomfort is part of transformation. The strongest version of yourself is not built in moments of convenience. It is built in moments when excuses no longer control your choices. There comes a point in life where every person must make a decision. Continue protecting old habits or start building a new future. The people who become leaders in business, relationships, purpose, and influence are rarely the people with the easiest path. They are usually the ones who became tired of their own limitations, tired of watching fear make decisions, tired of allowing distractions to steal their potential, tired of hearing themselves talk about goals without taking meaningful action. Power begins the moment ownership begins. The second you stop blaming your environment for every delay, your energy changes. Responsibility creates clarity. You stop wasting time proving why your situation is difficult and start focusing on what can actually move your life forward. That is where momentum is born. Small decisions repeated daily begin creating a completely different identity. Excuses often disguise themselves as logic. People say they are waiting until they feel motivated, but motivation is unreliable. Some wait for perfect conditions, but perfect conditions rarely arrive. Some believe confidence comes before action, yet confidence is usually built after action. The individuals who change their lives understand something powerful. Movement creates belief. Discipline creates confidence. Action creates clarity. The longer you wait to feel ready, the longer your potential remains trapped inside hesitation. Every powerful person learns how to lead themselves before they ever lead others. Self-leadership means doing what is necessary even when emotions resist it. It means staying committed after the excitement disappears. It means continuing the process without needing constant applause or validation. The world respects people who remain consistent because consistency proves character. Anybody can talk about ambition when life feels easy. Real strength appears when commitment survives pressure. The truth is that excuses steal more dreams than failure ever will. Failure can teach, failure can strengthen, failure can redirect. But excuses slowly destroy vision before a person even begins. They convince people to lower standards, delay action, and accept lives far beneath their capability. The tragedy is not that people fail. The tragedy is that many never truly challenge themselves because excuses became more comfortable than growth. There is a different life waiting on the other side of accountability. A life where discipline replaces procrastination, a life where purpose becomes stronger than distraction, a life where personal standards become higher than temporary emotions. The moment excuses lose control, your focus becomes sharper. Your confidence becomes real because it is now built on action instead of wishful thinking. No great transformation begins with certainty, it begins with decision. Decision to stop hiding behind reasons. Decision to stop negotiating with weakness. Decision to stop speaking like a powerless person trapped by circumstances. The people who rise in life are not always the smartest or the most gifted. Often they are simply the ones who became unwilling to let excuses continue leading their future. A powerful life is not created overnight. It is created one disciplined choice at a time, one courageous action at a time, one moment of responsibility at a time, and the moment excuses lose their authority over your thinking, the strongest version of you finally has room to emerge. Confidence is built through action long before results appear. Most people misunderstand confidence because they believe it arrives after success, after recognition, or after life finally proves they are capable. But real confidence does not begin with applause. It begins in silence. It begins in the moments when nobody is watching and you still decide to move forward despite uncertainty. The strongest people are not the ones who started fearless. They are the ones who acted while fear was still present. Many people spend years waiting to feel ready before they begin. They wait for certainty before taking the first step. They wait for motivation before becoming disciplined. They wait for proof before believing in themselves. But life rarely rewards hesitation. Growth belongs to those who are willing to move before the outcome is guaranteed. Confidence is not a gift handed to a lucky few. It is a result earned through repeated action. Every action you take sends a message to your mind. When you consistently avoid challenges, your mind learns fear. When you constantly delay difficult decisions, your mind learns doubt. But when you continue showing up despite discomfort, your mind slowly begins to trust you. That trust becomes confidence. Not because everything became easy, but because you proved to yourself that you are capable of handling difficulty. The people admired for their strength today were once beginners struggling in private. The leader once questioned their voice. The athlete once doubted their ability. The entrepreneur once feared failure. The speaker once felt nervous standing in front of others. Nobody begins as an expert. Confidence is built through experience, repetition, and resilience. The difference is that successful people continue acting even when their emotions tell them to stop. Results are important, but they often arrive later than expected. Many people quit too early because they expect immediate evidence that their effort is working. They plant seeds and then become frustrated when growth is not instantly visible. But transformation often happens beneath the surface, long before the world can see it. Discipline strengthens character before success becomes public. Consistency shapes identity before rewards appear externally. The gym does not change a body in one day, but every workout changes the person internally. The business does not grow overnight, but every sacrifice teaches leadership. The dream does not appear immediately, but every small action develops the mindset required to sustain success when it finally arrives. Confidence grows in the unseen moments where persistence becomes stronger than impatience. Fear loses power when action becomes a habit. The more you confront discomfort, the less control it has over your future. People who appear bold are often people who train themselves to keep moving despite uncertainty. They learn that waiting for fear to disappear only delays growth. Action is what weakens fear. Movement is what creates momentum. Progress is what builds belief. There will always be reasons to doubt yourself if you search for them. Every goal comes with obstacles. Every new level comes with pressure. Every meaningful pursuit requires risk. But confidence is not built by avoiding hard things. It is built by surviving hard things. Every challenge you overcome becomes evidence that you are stronger than you once believed. Too many people judge themselves based on current results instead of current effort. They become discouraged because success has not arrived fast enough. But results are often delayed reflections of consistent work. What matters first is becoming the type of person who can handle success when it arrives. Character must grow before achievement becomes sustainable. Inner strength must develop before external opportunities can be maintained. The world often celebrates victories without seeing the preparation behind them. They see the achievement, but not the years of uncertainty. They see the confidence, but not the private battles against fear. They see the success, but not the countless moments where quitting would have been easier. Every powerful person has a history of choosing action before they ever saw proof. Your future changes the moment you stop demanding immediate rewards and start valuing daily progress. Confidence is not built in one dramatic moment. It is built every time you honor your word to yourself. Every early morning, every difficult decision, every moment you continue despite doubt. Long before results appear externally, your identity is already changing internally. And once your identity changes, your future begins changing. With it, leaders do not wait for motivation. They train themselves to move anyway. That is the difference between people who occasionally dream and people who consistently grow. Motivation is emotional. Leadership is intentional. Motivation rises and falls depending on feelings, comfort, energy, and circumstances. But leaders understand something most people avoid accepting. If your future depends only on how motivated you feel, your progress will always remain unstable. There are mornings when energy feels low, days when pressure feels heavy, moments when fear whispers louder than purpose. In those moments, average people pause and wait for inspiration to return. Leaders move anyway, not because they enjoy discomfort, but because they understand discipline creates freedom. They know that consistency matters more than temporary emotion. The ability to keep going when excitement disappears is what separates strong minds from distracted ones. Every great achievement is built on actions taken during moments when quitting would have been easier. Nobody becomes respected because they acted only when conditions were perfect. The strongest individuals are the ones who train themselves to follow commitment instead of feelings. They learn that emotions change daily, but standards must remain stable. When your standards become stronger than your moods, your life begins transforming. Many people believe successful individuals are naturally more motivated. In reality, most successful people simply became more disciplined. They created routines that protected them from their own excuses. They stopped negotiating with procrastination. They stopped asking themselves whether they felt ready. Instead, they built habits that forced movement even during difficult seasons. They understood that waiting for perfect emotional alignment wastes valuable time. Leadership begins internally before it is ever visible externally. A person cannot effectively guide others while constantly losing battles against their own distractions. Self-leadership is built through repeated acts of discipline. Waking up when comfort says stay still. Working when excuses demand rest, staying focused when distractions compete for attention. Growth happens every time purpose wins the argument against convenience. The dangerous thing about motivation is that it creates dependency. People begin believing they need inspiration before they can perform. But real growth often happens in ordinary moments that feel repetitive and unexciting. The athlete trains even without applause. The entrepreneur works through uncertainty. The creator continues producing before recognition arrives. The leader keeps moving before results become visible. They understand that commitment matters most when emotions are weakest. Your future is shaped less by intense moments of inspiration and more by the small actions you repeat consistently. A powerful life is rarely built through dramatic overnight transformation. It is built through ordinary disciplined decisions made over and over again. The problem is that many people underestimate the importance of those moments because they appear too small to matter. But habits quietly shape identity. What you repeatedly do becomes who you eventually become. Leaders train themselves to move because they understand momentum is powerful. Once action begins, clarity increases. Confidence grows through repetition. Strength develops through resistance. Most fear becomes smaller after movement starts, but hesitation feeds uncertainty. The longer people delay action, the larger their doubts become. Movement interrupts fear. Action weakens excuses. Progress builds belief. There will always be reasons to stop. Unexpected problems, delays, criticism, fatigue, disappointment. Nobody escapes difficult seasons, but leaders refuse to allow temporary emotions to permanently control their direction. They understand that hardship is not evidence to quit. Often hardship is evidence that growth is taking place. Pressure develops resilience. Resistance develops strength. Responsibility develops maturity. The people who inspire others are not perfect individuals without struggles. They are people who learned how to continue despite struggles. They trained themselves to focus on purpose instead of emotion. They developed the ability to remain committed after excitement faded. That consistency builds trust, influence, and long-term success. Too many lives remain stuck because people are waiting for a feeling that may never arrive. They wait for certainty before taking risks. They wait for confidence before starting. They wait for easier conditions before becoming disciplined. But leadership begins the moment you stop waiting for motivation and start training yourself to act regardless of emotion. The strongest version of you is not created when everything feels easy. It is created when your actions remain aligned with your purpose, even on difficult days. That is where real discipline is formed. That is where real leadership is born. And that is where ordinary individuals slowly become powerful examples of consistency, resilience, and growth. Or habits are giving orders to your future every single day. Whether you realize it or not, the small actions repeated daily are shaping the person you are becoming. Most people focus only on big moments, major opportunities, and dramatic changes, but life is rarely transformed in one powerful event. Transformation usually happens quietly through repeated behavior. The routines you protect today are quietly building the reality you will live tomorrow. Every habit carries direction. Some habits move you toward growth, discipline, and purpose. Others slowly pull you toward distraction, weakness, and regret. The dangerous part is that habits rarely feel powerful in the moment. One wasted hour seems harmless. One delayed decision seems small. One excuse appears insignificant, but repeated over weeks, months, and years, those small choices become identity. The future does not suddenly appear out of nowhere. It is built daily through patterns repeated consistently. Many people want a better future while protecting the habits that created their current struggles. They want confidence without discipline, success without sacrifice, growth without discomfort. But life follows patterns. Your routines are training your mind every day. If your habits constantly prioritize comfort over progress, your future will reflect that mindset. If your habits consistently choose focus over distraction, your future begins changing long before visible results appear. The strongest people understand that habits are more powerful than temporary motivation. Motivation changes constantly. Some days energy feels high, other days exhaustion takes over. But habits continue operating even when emotions shift. That is why disciplined individuals often outperform naturally talented individuals. Talent may create opportunity, but habits determine sustainability. Consistency eventually becomes more powerful than occasional intensity. Every morning your habits begin giving instructions to your future. The way you manage your time is giving orders. The way you respond to pressure is giving orders. The conversations you entertain, the distractions you tolerate, the standards you accept, and the actions you repeat are all shaping the direction of your life. Nothing stays neutral for long. Either your habits are building you or weakening you. Most people underestimate how quickly repeated behavior shapes identity. The person who reads daily develops a different mindset than the person constantly consumed by distraction. The person who trains discipline develops different confidence than the person who constantly avoids discomfort. The person who consistently honors commitments slowly becomes trusted, respected, and dependable. Habits are not just actions. They become evidence of who you believe yourself to be. Your future listens more closely to your habits than to your goals. Anybody can speak about dreams. Anybody can announce ambition. But habits reveal priorities. Repeated action exposes commitment. A person who truly desires change eventually changes their routines because they understand that behavior creates outcomes. Wishing for growth without changing behavior only creates frustration. The difficult truth is that negative habits often feel rewarding in the short term while damaging the long term. Distraction feels easier than focus. Avoidance feels safer than responsibility. Comfort feels better than discipline in the moment. But temporary comfort often creates long-term regret. On the other hand, disciplined habits may feel difficult now, but they build freedom, strength, and opportunity later. The pain of discipline is usually lighter than the pain of wasted potential. Powerful lives are not built accidentally. They are built intentionally through repeated choices aligned with purpose. Successful people are rarely perfect people. They simply create systems that support growth instead of destruction. They become protective of their routines because they understand every habit either strengthens or weakens their future. They stop allowing random emotions to control important decisions. Instead, they create structure that keeps them moving even during difficult seasons. Small habits often create invisible progress before visible results arrive. One workout may not transform a body immediately, but repeated workouts transform identity. One focused hour may not build success instantly, but repeated focus creates mastery over time. One disciplined decision may appear small, but repeated discipline builds character capable of handling greater responsibility. There is no neutral direction in life. Every repeated behavior is sending your future instructions. Every routine is shaping your mindset. Every choice is reinforcing either growth or limitation. The future version of yourself is being trained by what you repeatedly do today. If you want a stronger future, stronger habits must take control. Because your habits are not simply part of your daily routine, they are the architects of your destiny. And every single day, whether intentionally or carelessly, they are giving powerful orders to the life you will eventually live. The world responds differently when you finally believe you are responsible for your own growth. Everything begins changing the moment you stop waiting for someone else to rescue your future. Too many people spend years hoping that circumstances will improve, hoping that opportunities will appear, hoping that recognition will arrive before they decide to fully commit to themselves. But powerful transformation begins when responsibility becomes personal. The moment you accept ownership of your mindset, your discipline, your habits, and your direction, your energy changes completely. Most people do not realize how much power they give away through blame. Blaming the past, blaming fear, blaming lack of support, blaming difficult conditions. While some struggles are real, remaining trapped in blame slowly weakens belief. It convinces people that growth depends entirely on external forces, but the strongest individuals understand something different. They understand that while they cannot control every situation, they can control their response, their effort, and their willingness to continue growing despite obstacles. Responsibility creates momentum because it removes excuses. The second you stop waiting for perfect conditions, your focus sharpens. Instead of asking why life is difficult, you begin asking what actions can move you forward. That shift changes everything. Energy once wasted on frustration becomes invested into progress. Attention once trapped in negativity becomes redirected towards solutions. Growth becomes possible because ownership has finally replaced avoidance. The world notices people who take responsibility for themselves. Confidence becomes more authentic. Discipline becomes more consistent. Leadership becomes more visible. People trust individuals who lead their own lives with accountability because accountability creates reliability. The moment you stop expecting the world to carry your future for you, you begin developing the strength required to build it yourself. Many people want change without responsibility. They want success while protecting destructive habits. They want confidence while avoiding uncomfortable challenges. They want influence while refusing to grow internally. But real transformation demands honesty. You cannot become stronger while constantly avoiding the truth about what needs to change. Personal growth begins with the courage to look at your current choices and decide that your future deserves better standards. Every powerful person eventually reaches a moment where excuses lose authority, a moment where they stop explaining why progress is impossible and start deciding why growth is necessary. That moment often changes everything. Not because life suddenly becomes easier, but because their mindset becomes stronger. They stop acting like victims of circumstances and begin acting like leaders of their own direction. When responsibility becomes personal, discipline stops feeling like punishment and starts feeling like investment. Early mornings become investment. Learning becomes investment. Consistency becomes investment. Difficult conversations become investment. Every action aligned with growth begins shaping a stronger identity. You stop chasing short-term comfort because you finally understand the value of long-term transformation. The world responds differently to people who carry themselves with ownership. Opportunities appear because preparation increases. Relationships improve because maturity develops. Confidence rises because actions begin matching intentions. Respect grows because consistency becomes visible. People are naturally drawn toward individuals who take responsibility for their own growth because responsibility creates stability, focus, and purpose. There is something powerful about a person who no longer waits for permission to improve. A person who decides that their future matters enough to require discipline. A person who understands that growth is not automatic. It must be chosen repeatedly. Every day brings opportunities to either remain comfortable or become stronger. The individuals who rise in life are usually the ones who keep choosing growth despite difficulty. Personal responsibility also changes how you view failure. Failure no longer becomes proof that you should stop. Instead, it becomes feedback that teaches adjustment. Responsible individuals do not waste years pretending mistakes never happened. They learn, adapt, and continue moving forward. That ability creates resilience. And resilience becomes one of the greatest advantages in life because challenges are unavoidable for everyone. Your future changes the moment you fully accept that nobody can build your life for you. Advice can guide you. Inspiration can encourage you. Support can strengthen you. But ultimately, your growth depends on your willingness to take ownership of your actions, your mindset, and your direction. The world begins responding differently because you begin carrying yourself differently. You speak with more conviction because your choices finally align with your goals. You move with more purpose because excuses no longer dominate your thinking. You become stronger because responsibility forces growth. And the moment you fully believe your future is your responsibility, you stop waiting for change and finally become the person capable of creating it.